So recently, historian Tom Holland tweeted this: "I would rather boil my head than use BCE CE. Who does anyone think it fools?" Now, you might be thinking, why is the guy from Spider-Man so upset by the Common Era dating scheme? Well, actually, this Tom Holland is a well-known historian who has written best-selling books on classical and medieval history. So why does Holland have a problem with the Common Era? Well, to understand this, I need to first explain how we got our modern dating system. The system Tom is referring to is what you'll most likely find in modern textbooks. CE stands for Common Era, and BCE stands for Before Common Era. This is equivalent with the more widely known BC AD dating system. AD is Latin for Anno Domini, which means in the year of our Lord, referring to Jesus, and BC means before Christ. Before the BC AD system, one of the most popular dating systems in the ancient West was to count the years from a Roman emperor. For example, you see this in the Bible where Jesus supposedly started his ministry in the 15th year of Tiberius. In the early 6th century, the church in Alexandria was using a dating system based on the Emperor Diocletian, who was known for his persecution of Christians. Then, in the year 525, a monk named Dionysius came up with a new system that would remove the negative association. He was working on a table to calculate the date of the Easter celebration. You see, after the Council of Nicaea in 325, the date of Easter was supposed to be celebrated on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. However, because this date moves around each year, it had to be calculated by hand. When Dionysius introduced his new Easter table, instead of marking the years Anno Diocletiani, he marked them Anno Domini, thus introducing a new Easter calculation. It also replaced the association of Christian persecution by marking the dates from the incarnation of Jesus. However, we can only guess at why Dionysius landed on his current year being 525 years after the incarnation of Jesus. He didn't leave behind any method. It would take a few hundred years more before this new terminology started to catch on in the 8th century in England, after it was used by the English historian Bede. It was later used by Charlemagne, king of the Franks, helping it to grow in popularity and spread to most of Western Europe in the following centuries. In the 1600s, a new Latin phrase started to appear, which meant vulgar era. In this context, vulgar didn't mean crude, it just meant ordinary, the common people. It was used to help distinguish dates on the Christian calendar from the regnal dates used in national law, which still used a system based on the number of years the monarch had reigned. The English translation of vulgar era was Common Era, and this started to be used synonymously with Anno Domini. In the 19th century, scholars of faiths other than Christianity, such as Judaism and Islam, started to adopt Common Era when interacting with Western scholarship. This was in part because Common Era avoided the implicit assumption inherent within Anno Domini, that Jesus is Lord. CE allowed scholars to participate in intercultural and interfaith dialogues without compromising their religious beliefs. Now, in the 21st century, the use of CE over AD is increasing, with many top journals requiring it as part of their style guides. This brings us back to Tom Holland. No, the other one. As a reminder, he would rather boil his head than use Common Era. Tom further explains his issue here. "I think if you are coming from a Christian culture, it is much more honest to be upfront about the cultural assumptions you are importing with your dating system than to pretend it is somehow common to all humanity." So Tom's argument is that Common Era simply masks the fact that the historical calendar was arbitrarily broken up at the supposed year of Jesus' incarnation. It doesn't actually change the fact that people are using a Christian calendar. And Tom does have a point here, but it doesn't fully appreciate the good reasons people use Common Era over AD. All dating systems are arbitrary, and as we have seen, they can change. What was common about the Common Era was not just that it was Christian, but that it was not based on any particular monarch or emperor. What makes CE attractive for scholars is that it is more inclusive and slightly more accurate than AD. The AD system is based on the birth of Jesus Christ, which is an event that is significant to Christians, but not to members of other religions, or those without religious beliefs. The CE dating system, on the other hand, is neutral and doesn't carry the implicit acknowledgement that Jesus is Lord, inherent within Anno Domini. Common Era also smooths over a problem with AD. AD was supposed to represent the period after the incarnation of Jesus, but we don't know what year Jesus was born. The birth accounts in Matthew and Luke are highly literary, and aren't a definitive source of information as to when the historical Jesus was born. But even if they were accurate, Matthew points to a date of 4 BC rather than 1 AD. So even though it has its opponents, CE isn't going away, and will continue to grow as the mainstream dating system of Western scholarship. And that's why I will continue to use it here at Bible Unboxed. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you've learned a little something about history, and I'll see you in the next one.
Commandment number 11, share and comment below.